So we get started with the questions. These are examination style questions that are going to be helping us to consolidate the things that we have learned so far. So let's get started with this one. They're asking us here, which task is performed by a bookkeeper? Now remember, in our previous sessions we talked about the difference between a bookkeeper and an accountant. So coming from that video, what is the answer here? A, analyzing the trading results. The person that analyzes the trading results is an accountant, not a bookkeeper, so A is not correct. Entering transactions in the ledger, yeah, that the bookkeeper does that. Let's explore the other options. We have C, preparing year-end financial statements. That is done by an accountant. And then D, providing information for decision making. The person that provides information for decision making is the accountant. So which task is performed by a bookkeeper? The answer here is B. So I'll circle B. All right, so we're done with that one. Let's moving on to the next. We are being told here that a trader provided the following information. Okay, that's the information: premises, inventory, payables, blah blah blah, up to motor vehicles down here. And we've also been given the amounts attached to this information, or the values of these things. So they're telling us, number one, calculate the value of the assets. Part B, calculate the value of the liabilities. And then part C, they're asking us to use the accounting equation to calculate the trader's capital. So let's first identify which one is an asset, which one is a liability. All right, premises. Premises is an asset. Inventory, this is an asset. Inventory is like stock. Another word for inventory is stock, and these are things we buy with the intention of selling them. That's an asset. Then we have trade payables. Trade payables are more like when people give you stuff during the process of making trade, suppliers who give you things and you support on credit, or in other words, suppliers who give you things on credit, those are payables. In other words, you're supposed to pay back their money. So they are called here, they are telling us trade payables. In other words, if you buy items with the intention of reselling them, but as you're buying these items from your suppliers, you do so on credit. In other words, your suppliers give you these things on credit. These are what we call trade payables. And so trade payables is a liability. In other words, it's other people's money working in your business and you're supposed to pay back. You're liable to pay back. So it's a liability. So this is a liability. Then we have trade receivables. It's the opposite of what I've been talking about. Trade receivables are, if I have to explain it, you are in your business and people come and buy stuff from you, but they come and buy stuff from you on credit. So because they are buying stuff from you on credit, it means that you expect money from them. You expect to receive something from them, to receive money from them in settlement of their debts. So these ones are what we call trade receivables, and it is an asset because it is an asset. It is your money. So trade payables, the other name for trade payables is, these are creditors. Okay, the other name for trade receivables is debtors. Yeah, okay, that's just like a, by the way, is necessary small detail. So office fixtures and fittings, these are assets of the business. These are, in other words, resources that are owned by the business. Remember, we said resources that are owned by business are assets. Then we have loan from the bank. Of course, when you're having a loan from the bank, it means that you're having money in your business that is not yours. So in other words, the loan from a bank is a liability. You're supposed to pay back that money to whoever gave it to you. Cash at bank. So if you have cash is a resource owned by the business, but if it's just that it's at bank, so this is an asset. Then we have motor vehicles, same like the way you see office fixtures, they are assets. Okay, so we have distinguished which ones are assets and which ones are liabilities, and now they're asking us to calculate the value of the assets. So we're just simply going to add assets. We have that, we have this, we have those, we have that, this and that. So I'm going to go ahead and add them up here. So when I add up all those assets, we are going to end up with 276 180. So that's our value of total assets here. It is 276 180. So those are the assets. Okay, so part B is asking us to add what are the total liabilities. So liabilities, we have this. Okay, let me use a different ink. Okay, we just different ink. We have this as a liability, we have this one too as a liability. It's supposed to be added here. Yeah, we only have two liabilities. Yep. So when we add up the total liabilities, what do we have? Our total liabilities here, we have 106 180. Those are our total liabilities. So that's what we have here, that it is 106 180. Those are our total liabilities. That is the value of the total liabilities, or the value of the liabilities. So part C tells us to use the accounting equation to calculate the trader's capital. Okay, so we all know that the accounting equation is written by, we know that the resources owned by the business, which so happens to be the assets, are supposed to be equivalent to the claims against those assets, and the claims against those assets, we have other people's money, which we are calling liabilities, plus the owner's equity, or the capital, the one we are looking for. So that's the accounting equation. So we're just simply going to substitute. In the assets, we calculate our total assets as 276 180 is going to be equal to our total liabilities, which is going to be 106 180 plus our capital. So when we make capital the subject of the formula, we shall end up with our capital being equal to 276 180 minus 106 180, and then what we have here is having 170,000. So 170,000 is our capital right here. Of course, all these figures are in dollars, because up here they are telling us that that's the unit of currency being used. So yeah, we finished that question. That is how we do it. Let's move on to the next. A business has 9,420 in its bank account. The following transactions took place. Okay, so that's a business. It has that much money in the bank account, and these are the financial state. It says bought goods on credit, sold goods on credit, and repaid the loan by check. How much was there in the bank after these transactions? In other words, they're asking how much was there in the bank. In the bank after these transactions. Okay, so now here we are assuming that all these transactions were carried out by money in the bank. This business does not have cash. Okay, a business had 9,420 in its bank account. The following transactions took place. Bought goods on credit. Now, when you buy goods on credit, it means no cash is involved. Okay, there is no cash involved. Sold goods on credit. There is no cash that was involved. Goods were bought and sold on credit. So this one and that one, none of them affected the money in the bank. However, they say repaid the loan by check 5,000. So if this person had 9,420 in the bank, and then they repaid the loan by check, so it means it's minus the 5,000. So when you subtract how much was there in the bank after these transactions, that's going to remain with 4,420, and so our answer here is B. Okay, moving on. They're telling us that here we have a statement of financial position of Bahwari traders on 31st October 20 something. So Bahwari statement of financial position, or call it the balance sheet, as at 31st October. So we have assets, we have the liabilities and the assets right there as you're seeing. And so we're being told, we've been given a series of transactions here. We have the check, blah blah blah, a credit, customer paid off that much in cash, and so forth. Then the question requires us to prepare the statement of financial position of Bahwari traders on that date, that is on 1st November. Remember, it is after this, right? So prepare a statement of financial position after the above transaction take place. So in other words, Remember, financial statements, a statement of financial position shows the assets, liabilities, and capital in a business at a specific point in time. So the specific point in time when this statement of financial position was done was on 31st October. Now, after 31st October, some transactions took place, and after these transactions taking place, then we going to go ahead and record. We have on 1st November, that is after 31st October, on 1st November, we're being required to prepare a new statement to show the new position or the new financial position of this entity after these transactions have taken place. Now, take note that these transactions, as they take place, they are going to affect this statement of financial position in a dual manner. Two items will always be affected. One either increases while the others decrease, or two of both increase or both decrease, like we have been mentioning in our previous sessions. So let's begin. So they are telling us that on 1st November 2004, the following transactions took place. A check for 3,000 was paid to a credit supplier. So what are the items here affected? Okay, we have a check, so meaning that the money in the bank was affected. Okay, a check of 3,000 was paid to a credit supplier. It means that a credit supplier, we had a creditor here. Now, a creditor is a person that gave us stuff on credit, so it means they are a payable. We are supposed to pay them back. So the items affected here, the amounts were 3,000. Okay, so it means the bank 3,000, and even here the payable is 3,000. So now the 3,000 here for the bank, since we paid, so the bank is reducing. I'll put a downward arrow to show that it's reducing, and the payable also is going to reduce. In other words, this person's account in our books showed that we owed them 3,000. So if we go ahead and pay them the 3,000, it means that their account is also going to reduce. So I'll just come here and say this transaction, how is it going to affect this? So we shall say a check for 3,000 was paid to a credit supplier. So come to the bank, I'll just say it reduced minus 3,000, and then the payable is the payable, trade payables also reduced minus 3,000. Okay, let's proceed. Moving on to the next. A credit customer paid 500 in cash. So when you pay 500 in cash, okay, how much what accounts have been affected? Of course, we have money in cash. Our cash in the bank has increased. Okay, it has increased by 500, and then it's a credit customer. In other words, it's a receivable. Okay, it's a receivable, or call it a debtor. Remember, this receivable, at first in our books, we were demanding them money, so they have paid, so it means that their account has reduced. So this receivable is going to reduce by 500, and the cash is going to increase by 500. So how is it going to affect our statement of financial position here? So, when you look at the side of assets, we do not have cash, so we have a new asset called cash at hand. Let me call that 500. It increased by 500. Then the receivables reduced by 500. So let's go to the receivables reduced by 500. So I'll simply come here and say minus 500. Okay, like that. So moving on. Next, a loan of 8,000, which was paid in the bank, was received from Lenders Limited. Okay, a loan of 8,000 which was paid into the bank was received from Lenders Limited. So in other words, this business, Bahwari Traders, applied for a loan and it was paid into the bank. So we have a loan. So in other words, the money in the bank is going to increase by 8,000. So we shall come to the bank here and add plus 8,000. In other words, we have more money in the bank. However, we have a new liability. These people, they are now like a liability to the business. They've given money to us and we're supposed to pay them back. So under the liabilities, we have a new account we are going to call lenders, or call it loan. Okay, the loan, of course the loan is from lenders, and it's also going to increase by 8,000. So that's it. Then a check for 7,000 was paid for an additional machine. So a check for 7,000 was paid for an additional machine. So we acquired a new machine in the business, and it was paid for by check. In other words, the money in the bank is going to reduce by 7,000. So the money in the bank is going to reduce minus 7,000. And the corresponding change is we have a new machine in the business. Now machinery here we have 19,000 plus the new machine, which was 7,000, like that. So that one is done. Of course here I'm trying to use shortcuts. Sometimes they can give you this kind of question and there are so many transactions and you won't be able to conveniently do it the way I'm doing it here, just saying plus, minus. And so in so doing you need to do like some real side work to show the effect of these transactions on each, on each at each stage. So they're asking us to prepare the statement of financial position. Of course, preparing the financial position, we have been able to analyze what everything has, what each transaction led to. So we will simply go and say, so let me do it here. It is 19,000 plus the 7,000. What do we have? We have 26,000. Then we have the motor vehicles. They were not affected by those transactions. It remains as 6,000. Then we had the inventory, 49,000. Then we have the trade receivables, which is 3,000. Then we have the bank. Okay, the trade receivables is not 3,000, it's 3,000 minus 500. So 3,000 minus the 500, it is 2,500. So this is supposed to be 2,500. Then we have the bank, the money at the bank, which is 10,100 minus 3,000 plus 8,000 minus 7,000. And what we have is 8,100, so we have 8,100. Then cash is 500. So we have cash, which is 500. Okay, so that as far as assets go, we shall add those up later. So let's move on to the liabilities. So under the liabilities we had here capital. Our capital was not affected, which is 35,000. We have the trade payables. Here trade payables we're having 8,000 minus 3,000, which remained with 5,000. Then we have the loan, and the loan here is 8,000. I think that's it. So we're also supposed to add up. So when we add up everything, these things are supposed to balance. So we are going to add up everything. 26,000 plus 6,000. Actually, inventory is not 49,000. Inventory is supposed to be 4,900. That is an error. Let me fix it. It's supposed to be 4,900. Okay, so let's go ahead and add it up and see what it gives us. This is giving us 48,000. And when we add up the liability side, it is also equally giving us 48,000. So you realize that the statement, this is what shows that we're on the right track when the total assets are equivalent to the total liabilities. So that also brings that number to that. That brings us to the end of this small exercise. We move on to exploring double entry in our upcoming session. This is Arnold. Thanks for tuning in.